360 degrees. Did we just randomly come up with that number? I know that might sound like a dumb or even obvious question, but the truth is, understanding why gives us a deeper insight into how we measure and analyze the universe around us, and even the everyday things we do. Why didn't we set the degrees in a circle to be 10 or 100 or 1000 or 0.69? No, not that one. It would have been so easy and intuitive, especially because we use a base 10 number system, meaning that we go from 1 to 100, from 100 to 1000, from 1000 to 10,000, and so on and so forth. Many people attribute the 360 degree measure to the Babylonians, but this is only part of the story. In fact, there have been several attempts to make the circle divisions more universal. Great minds like the mathematician Laplace proposed different methods and models. I mean, even today in civil engineering, they use a 400 division circle called the gradient circle. So my question is, why the heck are we still using the OG 360 degree circle and not a more universal or simpler one, like the 400 gradient circle that civil engineers use, or a 100 Beninian circle?
If 365 days a year, why not 365 degrees in a circle, Tutankhamun?
It all started with the ancient Egyptians. They just wanted to have some order in their everyday lives. I bet you know in which month, which day, and even how many hours in a day we have. If you know all those things, let me tell you that you were considered a genius in ancient Mesopotamia. So they realized that a solar year had 365 days, having followed the star Sirius in an ecliptic path. Yet the ancient Egyptians chose a 360-day calendar year. Why? Historians think that this was because of social and practical reasons, such as having a well-defined quarter of a year in the 90th day, or half a year in the 180th day. It also made astronomical calculations much easier. That's right, it all starts here. The 360 comes from the Babylonians.
No more old farts ideas in our calendars.
The standard for a year used to be 306 days, until the Greek astronomers crashed the party. Babylonians had recorded decades worth of astronomical information. In their notes, they divided the position of the moon, stars, and planets into 12 equal sections, aka constellations. Later on, the Greek astronomers decided to rename all these 12 constellations and gave them Greek names. We now know them as Cancer, Leo, Gemini, and even got a whole new pseudoscience out of it. Oh, and the Greeks also decided to add 5 more days in a calendar year. As the creators of the Vedas furthered their understanding in mathematical concepts, they came up with the idea of the angle as magnitude. The Greek astronomer Hipparchus, I think he used to party with Socrates, started applying geometry to Babylonian astronomy. He needed a method for measuring angles, so he naturally followed the Babylonian division of the ecliptic path into 360 degrees, dividing the circle the same way. That's right, my friends. We owe a lot of our geometry knowledge to the Greeks and the way they measure and understood the universe. But remember, if it weren't for the Babylonians' tireless efforts to understand the movement of a bunch of dots up in the sky, we wouldn't have had any engineering or science breakthroughs.
If something works, don't modify it.
Oh yeah? Watch this. In an effort to unify all measures, Simon Laplace, a scientist and mathematician from the 18th century, declared that an hour will be 100 minutes, a minute 100 seconds, and a day 10 hours. Imagine working 8 out of those 10 hours. Laplace wants to ruin us all. He also wanted to change the 360 degree circle that we use for a 400 gradient one. I mean, if we look into it, having a 400 gradient circle gives us some advantages, like having well-defined portions of a circle instead of having funky numbers like 90, 180, or 270. We would have 100, 200, and 300 respectively. Although efforts were made to implement this universally, the world left my poor friend Laplace unread. Nowadays, only certain parts of Europe use the 400 gradient circle in surveying, mining, or geology.
We're sticking with 360 degrees, and here's why.
A 360-degree circle comes with many advantages as well. One of the major perks is that you can divide 360 evenly by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. I only mentioned some numbers in there, but in reality, these are all the numbers that you can actually divide 360 evenly by. As a result, this system made calculations much easier for the Babylonians. Later, the Greeks adopted it and formalized the idea of 360 degrees in a circle, rather than the 365 they initially considered, based on the number of days in a solar year. Besides, we're just so used to the 360-degree circle, and it's been implemented in so many fields in science and engineering. It's literally impossible for us to go back. Well, in my opinion, getting to know the history behind one of the most used metrics in math, engineering, and many other fields in science makes us appreciate the people and societies that came before us even more. It's fascinating how we take these measurements for granted, while all these societies and people struggled so much millennia ago trying to figure it out. It took years of observation and the use of the scientific method for them to finally be confident in their discoveries. Without their tireless efforts to understand the universe around us, we most definitely wouldn't be here today, enjoying the benefits that modern society has to offer. Thanks for watching, and keep looking at the sky. You might become the next Laplace. But please, don't make us work 8 out of 10 hours. Good job.